Look, I can't help but think that now might be a good time for a little fire and ice. Please
do not know. There's never a good time for fire and ice.
What happens when you mix fire and ice?
Warm water, baby.
It's bubbling, baby. Warm water. Warm water.
I should probably get us added to the stream.
Well,
that'd be a good start for everything.
That's always a good way to get things going, right?
It is a Saturday. It's time for the sexiest party of Saturday. Mike Tipton along with Brandon the Iceman Cone. We are live over here at Undisputed Craft House, 1881 Saul Kleinfeld. This place was popping last night.
Yes,
Brandon.
I bet.
As our UTEP Miners had the biggest win in franchise history, or I guess program history, and I don't find myself being a prisoner of the moment. I legitimately believe that.
Well,
what's a bigger win than that?
For football, let's see. That's a great question. My goodness.
It's
bigger win than that. I mean, there hasn't been many of them over the last. I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to say.
I think you're just disagreeing with me to disagree with me.
No. Seriously. 2000, the game where they beat Rice at home to get a share of the WAC championship, the only time they ever did that. To me, that was a bigger, more significant, more important win. Now, you could argue, well, Rice, obviously is not Boise State. But here's the thing, okay? It was a big win. It was a big win. Nobody in the right, it was huge. Nobody in their right mind picked UTEP to win that game. I mean, nobody. You had to be a schmuck to pick UTEP, but they were a 16-point dog, if not more. It's interesting because I was even, talking to somebody after the game. I was like, when the hell's the last time UTEP beat a Mountain West opponent? And they were like, well, last year they beat New Mexico. I was like, yeah, no kidding. Duh. Let me think about that. But it's like, the point is that they were, I think, 0-6 all time against Boise State. Boise State had just romped them just about every time they ever played. This isn't the same Boise State from a few years ago. I mean, they went 7-5 last year, didn't go to their bowl game because of COVID. They were 2-1 with a supposedly depleted offense this year. But nevertheless, I am taking away nothing from the fact that UTEP played 4 full quarters. They played a virtually flawless game. They ran the ball. Hardison did a good job of managing the game. They got field goals they needed. They got a punt return for a touchdown in the fourth quarter. They did everything they needed to do. And defensively, they only allowed the Broncos 171 total yards throughout the whole game. They played about as perfect a game as I've ever seen in the Dana Dimel era. And it is the most important win. Certainly top 3 of all time, no doubt. Big Houston was a big one years ago when they were ranked like 16th or 17th at the Sun Bowl. But this is definitely top 3 or 4 for program history.
And see, and that's where I'm going at with this is you don't have a lot of these wins. Like you'll bring up the share of the WAC title in 2000, I'm guessing is what it is. So it's safe to say this is the biggest win in the last 20 years of UTEP football because the wins have been so few and far between, despite the fact that they've won, or that they've gone to bowl games, that they've been able to do a few things like that. It just, again, like for me, maybe it is prisoner of the moment, right? But this does feel like the biggest win that UTEP has had in forever, just because they don't win games this ever.
They always lose them. They're always on the losing end.
And beating Rice, like, yeah, okay, they beat Rice. Yeah, they beat Houston. Those teams don't have the prestigious name that Boise State has.
No, I don't disagree with you there. And how about the way they solidified the win? I mean, they had with 4:25 to go in the game, it was a 13-play drive where Ray Flores, he gets that touchdown, the 3-yard run. It's an 80-yard drive that took over 9 minutes off the clock in the final quarter. I mean, if you want to talk about the cherry on top, you want to talk about the frosting on the cake, then the sprinkles. I mean, you seriously want to talk about a way to win a game and not lose a game. That's what you do. And then you stop Boise State again, and it's like, that's it. We're going to run the clock out. Like textbook story, fairy tale ending for the game last night for the 10,000 at most maybe that were in attendance, unfortunately. Should have been a lot more, but oh well.
The Iceman Brandon Cohn was out there on behalf of the Just the Tip Network. We saw some of the videos that he put up as well. Those were fantastic videos. Brandon, good job on that. What was that atmosphere like? Because you sent me a picture.
Yeah.
at roughly 6:45, I want to say.
12 minutes before kickoff, whatever
And it was a desolate wasteland.
Yeah.
So what was that atmosphere like for the dozens that were in it? You say 10,000.
That was nice. There were more peanut vendors. What was the atmosphere like? It was loud. I mean, I watched most of the game on the field, all but maybe a quarter, and the people that were there were into it. It was a great atmosphere. And I understand why there wasn't more people. It was a Friday night. You have Friday night lights going on. They're 1-4. They stink. Nobody expected them to win. The game's on national television, whatnot. With that being said, the crowd that was there was really into it and enthusiastic, especially by the third quarter where they realized, hey, we got a chance to actually win this thing. When UTEP is, up 10-3 at half and then 17-3, I think at one point they went up. And it's like, hey, man, you know what? Or it was 13-3. They kicked the field goal third quarter. Long story short, this team is legitimately playing a great game. They're finally putting together 4 quarters of football. They were loud. I mean, towards the end, they were loud. They were jacked up. They were really into the game, and it was a nice atmosphere at the end.
Is this what wins the fans back for the University of Texas El Paso? Are they finally going to start showing up in droves? Is that what's going to happen, Brandon? Are they finally going to be able to pack the Sun Bowl for the next home game for UTEP, or is it just a fluke?
If you win another game or two and you show everybody that you're legitimately going to be improved as opposed to it being a fluke win, then yes, I mean they're going to get a crowd because that was a big win. I mean you don't just knock off Boise State and if you're UTEP and say, oh, it was just an accident. I mean, this team really proved that there was something that we haven't seen all year that came out of the woodwork last night. And I mean, it was the perfect game plan. It really was. And I credit Dana Dimmel, but you mostly credit their defense. I mean, again, they shut Boise State down. Boise State really never had a chance in that game. And it's weird, as close as it was, but the way UTEP played defensively. And it's crazy because there was like a 61-yard touchdown called back. UTEP had some blunders. They had some holding. They had some bad plays. But ultimately, it was such a well-executed game that the fans need to appreciate what they witnessed last night. You win another game or two, and by late October, by the third week of October, when they're back again, because I know they're out of town now here for a little bit and they have a bye week, boy, you got to get 40,000 people. I'm hoping, the weather's getting nicer. It's cooling down. There's no reason why you shouldn't get 40K if they win another game or two, and they have a chance of going to another bowl game now. Maybe. We'll see.
So UTEP now sitting at 2-3. We said whenever the season started, if they can get through this gauntlet that they had to start the year, right? If they can get 2 wins, we'd be happy with the product. It didn't feel like they were going to get there. They beat New Mexico. Mm-hmm. They beat Boise State, which, again, is just weird coming out of my mouth saying that UTEP beat Boise State.
Sure.
But seeing them here at 2-5, and now you finally start or 2-3, finally start getting into the conference schedule. There's not a powerhouse in Conference USA.
No.
You're right. Like, it does kind of feel like it could be up for grabs now.
Well, I mean, you're at Charlotte. Don't tell me why you couldn't win that game. That's on the 1st of October.
The reason why.
It's in the East Coast time zone. Right.
But we just saw them right now
beat a good team.
History,
Yeah. I mean, so it's like, what history? You go to the East, you go to the Eastern time zone. Maybe, hopefully, they take care of Charlotte. And then, of course, at La Tech, and they beat La Tech last year. And then, again, like I mentioned, home for FAU back on the 22nd here of October in a few weeks. And, of course, then Middle on the 29th. So it's like, hey, man, I don't see any reason why you don't win those next 2 games because this has to be the spring. This has to be the rocket. This has to be what propels you to now go to that next step and say, we have the ground game. Hardison played a good game. Special teams was good. Obviously want to improve on the penalties. Defensively, man, let's just keep going there. This is a building block staple win that can save your season.
In a few minutes here on Fire and Ice with Mike Tipton and Brandon the Iceman Cone, Jereica Hughes, UTEP women's basketball legend, Brandon. UTEP Hall of Famer, the UTEP Athletics Hall of Famer.
She is.
Will be joining us here on Fire and Ice in just a few minutes. I'm still decompressing from the fact that you were there in person, so you didn't have to worry about like the highlights and stuff like that. I'm looking at my phone, and I get the thing where it's like, okay, UTEP is up 10-3. Okay, yeah, I could see that, right? Like it's a possibility. And then the game ends, and UTEP won 27-10. For UTEP, I guess for anybody, 2 touchdowns and a field goal, that's a blowout. just seeing the fact that they blew this team out. Boise State. How big can that be for the program going forward if they can capitalize on it and put like a win streak together, saying this right here? I had joked about it. I think I told you I'm writing my book on UTEP football history because it's not going to be a very thick book.
You don't say.
But the way I started it off was saying, a lot of these schools have that signature win that kind of propelled them into sustained success or something that was able to get them something going.
Yeah.
I made the joke that UTEP had never had it, and now it feels like, oh, wow, it might be this one.
Again, it's one of those things where if you were there, you'll never forget it. I mean, because I've been watching UTEP games in the Sun Bowl since 2000. That's when I first started going to UTEP games, and I could count maybe 2 wins that I'll never forget, and that being obviously the Rice game in 2000 and the game against Houston, where I don't want to say it was like 15 years ago when they beat Houston when they were like 16, 17 in the country. I mean, you remember the OU game. You remember the Texas game. You remember the Texas Tech. But they lost all those games. So it's like, hey, I got to see Texas play here. I got to see OU. Great. But we never won. We were competitive. But there's always the but. Finally, there wasn't the but. There was we beat Boise State, and you did so handily. In the end, you whooped their ass. You took care of business. You did what was needed to be done. You earned the respect of a lot of people. At least you should have earned the respect of a lot of people. So yes, absolutely. This is huge. I mean, I couldn't be more proud of what they were able to do. And again, it was a close game until the third quarter. Fourth quarter, money time, everything is on the line. They just put the game away, man. And it's like, you won the game. It's like, let me write a script. This is the perfect script I could write for a Hollywood ending. I'm sailing away in the sunset, man. Wind behind my back. I'm talking about you can give me the schmuck look, but I'm talking about in order to solidify the victory. I'm not talking about for the whole season.
Okay.
No. Like, Come on now.
Whenever you're about to put the Disney spin on it, kind of like Lori Road. I was like, okay, this is where we got our second win in 5 games. This is where we write the Disney spin.
No. I'm just talking about to win this game, to take care of Boise State. And of course, you're always going to have your doubters, your naysayers, and again, this is a team that's not that great, blah, blah, blah. You still beat Boise State. That's it. That's the bottom line.
And I look at it this way, right? Like, you beat the name. How important is the name in college football? It's what keeps
Boise State.
It's what keeps Texas ranked. It's what keeps USC ranked.
Here's my philosophy. Now that they're expanding the playoff in, 2 years, I've always looked at a mid-major, like the quintessential mid-major is Boise State. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I've always looked at
and Central Florida for a small period of time.
Yeah, I mean, and I say it's like, the philosophy I have is that if you're able to beat a team like that, where does it put you? And ultimately, the bottom line here is that, I could see a team like Boise State going on to win the national championship because they're expanding the playoff. You know what I mean? And it's
not anymore.
Well, yeah, not anymore. Yeah, that you've lost to UTEP, I mean, that's, to me, it's like I think about that.
All right, so now we're going to go ahead and bring on a couple of friends here to join us on Fire and Ice. Brandon, would you care to do the introduction?
I would definitely love to do that because I have a very special friend of mine, UTEP women's basketball legend, Jereica Hughes, and head coach James Cole. He's in his 3rd season as the head coach there. And, of course, he brought Jereica in. And I want to, first of all, thank you both here as, it's nice to have you, Jereica. And, of course, James, and you guys are building the program there in Kansas. Talk about, Coach Cole and, of course, Jereica. Talk about your program you're building there and what it's like to have Jereica on board there.
First, I want to say thank you so much, Brendan, my dear friend, for having me on this Saturday. I greatly appreciate it every time we have this opportunity to, have these conversations. I miss seeing you. It came down a couple years to the hometown, and we had a good time eating some coney downtown Detroit. It was a fantastic time being able to see you. But I want to give a second to pass it over to Coach Cole here so he can talk about our program and what we got going in store for this up and coming season.
Well, thank you all for having us. We really appreciate this opportunity, not only to shed light on Jereica and her history with UTEP, but also tell a little bit about our program here. This is going on my 3rd year. Just like you guys said before, we're very excited to have Jereica here. She brings a lot of energy. I think this year, matter of fact, I know this year is going to be very exciting. We have a good group of young ladies that's working hard. They're buying into what we're wanting to do to be successful. As you guys may know, this is one of the best junior college conference in the country. We're known as the Jayhawk Conference. So we're trying to continue to build, and hopefully at the end we can have a lot of success.
You're at Colby Community College, and you talk about the Jayhawk Conference. What's it like to be a basketball coach in the state of Kansas? I mean, it's Kansas, for crying out loud.
It's a little different for me because I'm originally from Mississippi.
Okay.
And there are some really good coaches here. So being able to coach against some of the best coaches in this business, it's an honor. It's a blessing to have administration, to kind of support us in what we do, which that makes things a lot easier. And also just having a supporting cast because I can't do it by myself. So
Sure.
I think it's the people that's around me that actually makes this job very unique and exciting. So it's an honor to be able to coach in this league because, like I say, it's really good, very tough, night in and night out. You have to be prepared for anything.
How difficult is it for you to recruit to, Colby Community College whenever you have like the historic Kansas Jayhawks, like just right down there in state for you? How hard is that for you to recruit? Because that's such an important part of actually, being able to win and then sustain winning.
Well, I wouldn't say it's hard as far as when you're talking about, if I heard you correctly, against the Jayhawks, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we wouldn't have to worry about them because, that's KU. The teams that we have to worry about are the teams that's in our league. And I think it's very difficult sometimes to recruit over here because of our location. But as I always tell people, it's a business trip. It's not like you coming here to stay forever. There are some really good people here. When you realize and understand your why or why you want to come to school, why you want to be in Kobe or this opportunity, I think those things will take care of itself. For one, we're one of the best academic institutions in our state, one of the best academic institutions in the country. When you talk about two-year programs, we're ranked in the top 40 out of 800 and something JUCOs in the country. When you look at our team GPA, overall for women's basketball, last year we posted a 3.45 team GPA. A come before B with us. If you're not here to get your books, play basketball, then you won't make it. But understand academics is before a ball. So, when you understand those things right there, you can make it here. I'm not asking people to come here to make friends. It's come here to understand that, look, this is just a stepping stone for you to get to the next level. And that next level can be anywhere.
Again, we're joined by Colby Community College head coach James Cole and his assistant Jereica Hughes, UTEP women's basketball legend. Coach Cole, Jereica has wanted to coach at the college level forever. I've known Jereica for years, and Jereica's a dear friend of mine. She knows that, and she's been in the high school ranks, and now you have finally given her an opportunity to be there with you in the community college level, which I think is huge. What was it that you saw in her that you knew she would be a great addition to your program, be able to really benefit that program of yours?
Well, I must say, started off, it was she was recommended by someone that I respect. And then I ended up finding out we had a mutual friend, and the recommendation that young man gave and the words that he spoke of her was like, wow, I really want to, get to know her. So I ended up giving her a call, and it was like we've been knowing one another forever. She was saying all the right things, and you never know about that person till you actually get them here. I must say she lived up to that. But one of the things that she was saying, we talk about energy. I needed someone to bring energy. She does that. We talk about just understanding the game, the IQ. Well, her resume speaks for itself. I don't think you can become a Hall of Famer if your IQ is low. A student of the game. She's definitely a student of the game. Loyalty and trust. That was one of her mentors and people that she was talking to or deal with, was talking about how loyal she is and how trustworthy she is, how honest she is. Those things right there is something that I needed in our program. Now, I've had some good assistants and they all moved on to, higher levels, and that's great. But to bring in someone of her caliber to help me and this program grow, and these young ladies grow, it's been a blessing. So to have her and what I have seen in her, I mean, the trust, the loyalty, the hard work that she put in,
Yeah.
those things means a lot to me.
Jereica, have you ever heard Coach give you that much praise? Is this like the first time you're hearing it? Is this something new?
Well, I would have to say it's something new in regards to being here at the next level, because this would be my first year at coaching collegiately, and as Brendan has already stated, he's known for years that I've been wanting to have an opportunity to get my feet wet at this level, coaching high school, starting going back to my hometown in Southfield, Michigan, at Southfield A&T with Michelle Jackson as my godmother as the head coach, and then moving on to Birmingham Groves and Beverly Hills, Michigan, and then spending about 5 years with Michigan Storm and Coach Taylor. The mutual individual that he was speaking of is Jeff Taylor, who was the director of the program. So I appreciate, as he was speaking of me, to hear such kind words in regards to me, but it's just how much I love this sport, and I've been doing this. I played this game since I was 5 years old, and I've been coaching for about 9 to 10 years now. And so it feels amazing to hear such things, and just to come to Kansas and be able to put the hard work down, put the hard work in, and hit the ground running. So it feels good. This is a very, very great environment. Family and friends who have asked me since I've been here, we're about week 5.
Yeah.
About week 5 here, they asked me, Jereica, how's it been going? I can't say anything less than amazing. With the chemistry amongst Coach and I, like you said, the first phone call was as if it was just great energy. Like we've known each other for years. And we didn't get to talk basketball. And then we got to talking basketball, and it was just like we were just clicking on all cylinders. And that was one of the main reasons why I chose here. And then the other reason I chose to come down here is, like you said, A before B, academics before basketball. And it's very important for this generation to understand that you have some kids out here that think they're athletic students instead of student athletes. And so we're here to make sure that they understand that you got to get the business done and be able to move on to the next level.
Coach and Jereica, I'll get your thoughts on this as well. The transfer portal has become such a significant part of the game today, more so than ever, where you're lucky you have a kid more than one season. And I know that you've got to see this at the community college and JUCO ranks as well. What are your thoughts, Coach Cole, on the way the transfer portal has affected these programs in general today, and yours as well?
How it affected junior college, or just overall the college landscape?
Just overall, because I know that it's affected the landscape tremendously, especially over the last few years.
Well, to me, in my opinion, transferring, it can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing. It definitely changed the game as far as how you recruit, because right now I think it's hurting high school kids a whole lot more than it's hurting others. If you're transferring for the right reason, I have no problem with that. But if you're transferring just because you're not getting playing time or things are not quite going your way, I think that's where the problem, occur. For us, we would like to get transfers. We actually got a couple transfers this year, but it have to be the right fit. And that's what I always tell our students, our student athletes: go where you're wanted. Go where you fit, And I think just like with coaches, we have opportunities to move on, for the right reasons. I think the student athletes have an opportunity to do the same thing. But once again, if you're just transferring just because you don't like the coach, or the coach is just being hard on you because that coach sees something in you, I think that's wrong. I also think a lot of the reason why, kids transfer, or these young ladies, student athletes transfer, is because outsiders, giving them bad advice, making them feel like they're better than what they really are. I remember my parents always, telling me, once you start something, you can't quit. You have to learn how to succeed. And that's one thing that this younger generation don't know how to do, especially when you have media outlets just pumping their heads up, making them feel like they're the next best thing when they're really not. So for us, like I say, with this transfer board, to each his own. If it's for the right reason, go for it. But if it's not, I mean, you need to stay where you are because that's the same way in life. I mean, to me, it just teaches life.
So this could be for either one of you to answer, whichever one feels like it. But how difficult is it to navigate like coaching now? Because I feel like over the last decade and a half, we've seen such a change in the younger athletes, especially with things like AAU coming up. The way that these athletes are kind of babied a little more, like you said, their heads are a lot more swollen whenever they get to the next level. How difficult is it now for you to kind of like navigate that? And are you worried at all about maybe offending one of these kids and they get upset at you and then just like that they're gone?
I'm gonna let Jereica answer that first, and then I can come back to it.
Yeah. I think it's just it's a difference in, I would say, how I grew up, where my coaches and my mentors, they were hard nosed, hard tough, and we were a little strong minded. Whereas to this generation, like you said, being a little bit babied and coddled in certain situations, and it's like sometimes we have to definitely parse what we have to say to them at times. But I think with certain individuals who get the point that I would say for myself and getting to know Coach Cole, that you have coaches who actually genuinely care about the youth. And once they get to understand that aspect about us as coaches and personalities as human beings, some of them are more open to understand that we're being hard on you for a good reason. There's a purpose as to why we're doing this. It's a method to the madness, if you will. And so I would have to say sometimes it's just situational with the different player and athlete that you are dealing with. And then sometimes it is with the parents. Because I've coached AAU for the past about 4 or 5 years. And sometimes with the parents, particularly with AAU, they make it a little bit of a tough time. Because as Coach was speaking about, I would say people or parents kind of blowing certain kids' heads up a little more than where they really are, makes it a little bit more difficult to be able to be a little tougher on these individuals, whether it be it in practice, training, or even in game time. But the core of it is that you have a coach like myself that genuinely cares, that want to see you, if you want to go to the next level and play collegiately, or if you want to just go to the next level to get your academics so you can have a career path. I want to be able to push you in the right direction, in that direction, and see the things for yourself. That's what the most important things to me. Like basketball is what I love to do, but not every kid wants to play in the WNBA. Not every kid wants to play overseas. Some of them, what I've learned, just want to play maybe because of a friend, and then I want to get my education along the way. So I think it's very important that I be able to push them in the direction that they see themselves, be it if it's basketball or I just want to get my academics.
Well, like she says, one of the key things is you got to know your why. For us, it's caring about the student athletes. It's not always just about basketball. If you're in this business for the right reason, and that's to help and to serve and help these young men, young women to be better citizens, then you will have a successful program. And that's one thing with this program here. That's our foundation. Yes, A come before B, but I treat them as human beings, not as money makers or using them to get to the next spot. Being able to care passionately for these young ladies, building relationships that last a lifetime. And not everybody's going to agree with what we do. Just like I can only speak for me, can't speak for everyone else. But I remember growing up, I wasn't allowed to do certain things. Okay, my parents didn't allow me to do certain things. I hated my parents for it. I'm not even gonna lie. I wanted to do this and that. And they're like, no, you can't do it. We had to be in bed at a certain time. We had to be in the house at a certain time. We couldn't go to parties after a certain time, or we had to say a party gets started at 10, and our curfew is at 10:30. Well, you're only gonna get 10, 15 minutes because you got to think about the drive. But at the end of the day, like I said, I didn't like it. But then when I look back over my life, I've never been to jail, never got in trouble with the law or anything like that. And then I look back, the things that was going on at those parties, the drinking, the drugs, Even some, having children. There's nothing good that comes out of that. So when I look back, I didn't like it, but I really do respect my parents and appreciate my parents for those things. So for us, they might not like the discipline that we give to them, but they need to understand, they have to understand that it's tough love, and that when we're done with basketball, when that practice is over with, that moment is over with, that's it. When we walk out that gym or when that practice ends, I mean, we're normal human beings. We really care. Some coaches will hold that stuff over your head. You get onto them in practice, after practice, they still mad at you. A few days later, they still mad at you over some stuff that happened a while back. You got to leave that stuff alone. So for us in this program, we want to treat people like family. And that's what we do. And sometimes it's hard because the kids don't understand that. Or should I say, the young ladies doesn't understand that because for some, it was never given to them like that. I'm a father myself, and I try to treat all these young ladies like I would treat my children. And I desperately treat my children with respect, and I'm big on faith, being a Christian. I'm a godly guy. Might not always look that way, but I'm not perfect. But as I always say, spare the rod, you spoil a child. You know, if you're not going to discipline, you ruin their lives. And I refuse to do that on my watch.
I
So
like
if you
the way,
do the right reason, everything will be okay and you'll get the players that you want.
and Coach, I like the way you bring up the word respect, something that truly is earned. And I want to talk about Jereica. And Jereica, I'm alluding to what you've done here when you were at UTEP from 2006 to 2009. I mean, you were on that NCAA tournament team in '08, the first in program history, two-time CUSA Player of the Year. You own records for assists, steals, and minutes, while ranking second in scoring with over 1,500 points. Jereica, do the girls know all the things that you've accomplished, not to mention the UTEP Athletics Hall of Famer, and what you can bring to the table and how you're going to be able to pass your knowledge on to them? But it's just an amazing list of accomplishments. Do the girls know who Jereica Hughes really is?
Thank you for that, Brandon. I appreciate that most definitely. I don't think just yet, as an overall, the entire team knows. There's a few of them that I know that I've had conversations with, aware of my accolades and the time that I spent at UTEP and my time that I spent overseas in Poland. But I think some of them are gonna they're gonna know. And they'll know for sure. I think they're really getting it with how my interaction is with them in practice and how I coach them. But before the season, I'm definitely sure that they'll know, especially with, they should be listening in at this point right now. So they should know at this point from hearing it from you. And I think just my experience, not only as a player, but my time on the ground as a coach is definitely has helped me in so many different facets to be able to get to this point to coach collegiately and get them to a point of understanding what it is that I want to do with basketball and where I want to take this sport for myself. So
Now, I must say, Brandon, to kind of piggyback off that, the reason why I'm laughing is because and sometimes I try not to allow her to kind of express that just to be funny. I remember we was in practice and we have a young lady that I think she's really good at, stealing the ball. and and I say, how many steals you guys gonna get a game, being this size? Now her and Jereica are about the same size. And Jereica had like she wanted to say something. I said, I'm not talking to you. Don't nobody care about what you was doing at UTEP. I'm not trying to hear that. But it was just a point that I was trying to teach these young ladies the discipline. Yeah. And there's a right and wrong way of how to steal. And having a young lady like Jereica on the staff that can teach these young ladies the game the way it's supposed to be taught, it is one of a kind. But I don't want them at that point to kind of get in the habit of just doing it the wrong way. If I say something about scoring, Jereica is at the top. If I say something about energy, Jereica is at the top. Stealing and playing defense, Jereica is at the top. So I don't want her answering anything when it comes to that at that point. But like I say, she is really good at what she does, and I'm very proud of her.
See,
I'm trying to get them to understand there's an art to stealing.
Correct.
Because we have some really fast guards, really good anticipators, and then sometimes they do get the steal, but a lot of times it's like perception is everything, especially when it comes to the refs, right? And so Coach and I were just trying to get them to understand there's an art to how you do certain things. It's an art to when you should go for the steal or how you should go for the steal and what direction you need to also position your body. It's not just only about the hands. And so it's a very important factor that I'm trying to get them grounded and get that discipline first before we start having our games, because come game time, the way that some of them are operating right now, they're going to become frustrated. And so speaking about steals, the reason and point why I hold that record is because I had that discipline from not only just college, from high school. My high school coach, Coach Marshall, she definitely grounded me in that facet. So it took my game to another level by the time I got to UTEP, and I want to be able to give that, if you will, drop the jewels to the youth, so they can learn and understand it, and once they grasp it, they can pass it on as well.
See, that's how I know I'm a much more humble person than I am, because if I had all those accolades, that would have been laminated. I would have had highlighted things on there. All of my highlights. Y'all will never be this, but you can try to be this. It's kind of the way that I would be, out there coaching, and my record would be 0-450.
I must say, I don't know if these young ladies would be like, Coach. I was picking a coach one day in practice. We needed some of our players had, I think, class or might was out for some unapparent reason. But Coach had to step in as the PG. And I never seen a 50-year-old move the way she moved. I mean, that first step of hers, wow. I was like, man, y'all going to just let this 50-year-old just blow by you guys like that? Now, I thought you guys were like 17, 18. This young lady been done playing for a long time. She ancient. And you guys just gonna let her just do that to you? That was amazing. Like, you hear and you read all her accolades, but then when you actually see her, knowing that she haven't played in a while, just imagine what it was like when she was younger.
Oh yeah.
And just to understand, for all the listeners, understand she is not 50. I just over exaggerated that because I wanted to embarrass the young ladies at that time, in practice. And, like I say, she is great. And I would love to have someone, I'm glad to have someone like her to kind of teach the young ladies that game, knowing that she played on a high level and achieved so many things. So sometimes I just sit back and I just let her do her, because she can actually teach it, because she actually done those.
Every single one of us have been to the park and gotten worked by an old person. So we know that old man game.
He still gets worked by old people all the time. Hey, before I let you guys go again, Colby Community College head coach James Cole and assistant coach Jereica Hughes. I got to tell a story about Jereica, my buddy. So a few years ago, you want to talk about a good grease in Detroit. I'm in her town, and I said, Jereica, let's go to breakfast. Let's get a good grease. And she says, okay, I'm going to take you to a good breakfast spot. And I'm thinking eggs and bacon and, waffles. She takes me to Coney Island hot dogs, American Coney Island. And it's the best damn chili dog I've ever had in my life. And a year later, I'm watching the Food Network, and they're there saying, one of the top 3 chili dogs in the country, American Coney Island. I was like, I was there with Jereica. This woman, she knows some good greases, let me tell you.
So I got to go to Detroit now.
Yeah, and get a good grease with her, because she knows.
When you do, make sure you give me a call. I can show you around. I'll take you to America's Coney. It's one of the best Conies that you will get that Detroit can offer.
Yes, it was.
And we just had an amazing time. I'm so glad that you came out. Now it's gonna be my turn when you go back to Chicago. I'll go out to Chicago and I meet you, your family, and you show me around, take me to some spots, and then also 2023. Hopefully I can make it back out to El Paso. I got some things in the work where I come out to my second home. And every time I come back to El Paso, it's nothing but a lovely time. The people let me just speak to you all. I appreciate all the support over the years that you all have given me. When I came back in 2014, it's been nothing but love. When I stepped foot in the Bears Den, rest in peace, Don Haskins. And 2018 for the induction of the Hall of Fame, they just always show so much love, and I greatly appreciate El Paso and UTEP just in general. I love El Paso.
So I guess the real question to this, Jereica, is if you come down to El Paso, are you going to bring Coach and introduce him to Chico's Tacos?
Ooh, Chico's Tacos, a Taco Cabana. Yes, most definitely. If Coach would love to come on down to the second home, and I would definitely love for him to Chico's Tacos and Taco Cabana.
Oh, come on now, Jereica. We'll go get a grease at Kiki's. I sent you some real Mexican food here.
There we go.
You took
Yeah,
Mom's.
I definitely at Kiki's too, because that was he showed me that was a gym. I had no idea about Kiki's.
Gym. You bet it's a gym.
That was lovely.
No idea.
And one more thing that before we head on out of here, I want Coach to go ahead and touch on our
fundraiser.
I'm sorry.
You got a fundraiser you were mentioning.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Touch on our fundraiser for our program for this upcoming season.
Well, like I say, during this fundraiser is called Give from the Heart. So whatever you give is basically going to go directly to help these young ladies in our program. If you want to give $1, give $1. If you want to give 50 cents, give 50 cents. Whatever your heart desire, do so. We all are at some point been in a crunch financially. Okay. So I'm not the type of person or a coach to go out and just say, hey, can you donate $100? Wherever your heart is, that's where your money goes. So anyone out there that would like to give to our program, please do. And it's real simple. You can send it. You can write the check out. Do a check to Kobe Community College Endowment. You can send it to Kobe Community College and attention to Coach James Cole. And that address is 1255 South Range Avenue. And that's Kobe, Kansas, 67701. Once again, it's a Give from the Heart fundraiser. That money will go towards help us out with scholarships when we travel, food, so the young ladies can eat nice, because I don't like feeding them, just McDonald's and Burger King and things like that. When we go out, I definitely want to make sure they have a great experience, as you was talking before, Brandon, about our location and things like that. Well, I've been up on the coach that gave us an experience where I was riding on a charter bus made by Mercedes-Benz.
Nice. Nice.
But we don't have that here, but we can do other things to help these young ladies to have a great experience. So other schools might be having this and that. We're going to try to have the best of the best. When it comes down to travel gear, we want to make sure they look really nice. I'm not saying we're going out there in Louis Vuitton, but we definitely want to look nice. When we have to stay in hotels, we don't want to, stay in Motel 6 where they keep the light on, But if we can get something, real nice and comfortable, that'll be great. So once again, it's called Give from the Heart. If you would like to give, you can write the check out to Kobe Community College Endowment, and you can send it to Kobe Community College. And attention to me, James Cole, and that's James. Last name is spelled Cole. And that address is 1255 South Range Avenue, and that's Kobe, Kansas, 67701. All the would like to give, it would be greatly appreciated. And that'll help us, continue to get good players and continue to build this program the way it needs to be. Because this program, to be honest, been down and disrespected for a while. And since I have been here, we're getting a lot of respect. And this year right here is the turning point for us to do greatness if everybody do their part. I know Coach going to do her part. I'm going to do mine. Now it's up to the young ladies. As I always tell them, this is going to be a movie. In a movie, as I asked him, what do you have to make a movie a movie? You have to have characters. You have to have a director. You have to have the main character. You have to have a whole lot of people. So there are going to be some times, as I tell them, I'm going to have to fall back. And I have to follow that lead. So I have to be a supporting cast. Coach Hughes might have to, be that superstar that night. And I have to fall back. So understanding the importance of the movie and the roles of movies to make those legit, that's what this team is going to be about. Some nights you're going to have to be that person on that bench, waving that towel, clapping their hands, cheering that teammate on, because it's not your time to shine. So you have to encourage someone else. So if you all would like to help, please do so, and we'll greatly appreciate that.
Coach, thank you so much. Coach Jereica, thank you so much as well. How does that feel whenever you get to coach Jereica at the college level now?
It feels amazing. Something I dreamt about for a very long time. So I'm just living in it and enjoying every moment, every second of it. let me say one last thing. I want to shout out UTEP women's basketball program. You ladies have amazing season coming up. Also, there's a young lady by the name of Mari Peachtree. She's from Detroit. She was in our Michigan Storm program. She came from Bradley. That's a very hardworking young lady, very talented. So I just want to give that shout out to that young lady.
Jereica, I got nothing but love for you. So proud of
Always.
you. Keep up the good work.
Always, Brandon. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you, gentlemen, for this interview. It's been great. And also, Brandon, we went from radio to video. So congratulations to you, my man. It's like, I'm so happy and proud of you, all the work that you put over the years. And
well, thank you.
He finally got good looking enough for us to put him on.
I was going to say I had a face for radio, but now they can actually see me. But thank you. I appreciate that. And I get to work with my best buddy, Tipton. So I'm not as huge as I used to be.
Hey, again, congratulations to you business-wise and on a personal level, man. You've been working extremely hard. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, Jereica.
So proud.
Likewise. Right back
So
at
happy
you.
to call you my friend.
That's right. Honor. It's an honor, Jereica.
Likewise.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much once again. That was Jereica Hughes and Coach James Cole from Colby Community College. An absolute diamond in the rough. I think what I'm going to start doing now, Brandon, is I think I'm going to go buy some merch. Like, I definitely want to donate, like, help them out with that. I think that'll be super awesome, especially for, giving us their time today.
Heartwarming story. It really is. And I'm glad Jereica's a part of that program.
Oh, yeah. UTEP women's basketball, I'm looking forward to that season. It's going to be starting right around the corner. What are your expectations for UTEP women basketball? Because I'm looking for nothing less than a national championship.
Yeah, they got to win the national championship. They don't win the national championship, it'll be a disappointment. No, I mean, look, Kevin Baker's got a good program. He's always bringing in good recruits. I mean, Avery Krause is the staple of that program. She's been there the whole time. She's going to have another great year. How is the program going to be without Katia Gallegos? To me, that's going to be a big question mark. She transferred to Tulsa. To me, it was a lateral transfer, but you get more exposure there being the AAC. A lot of newcomers. So, and I also like the way, he brought on Lexi Murphy, who, is one of his former players back in the day when he was JUCO. Now she's an assistant coach. He's got a good coaching staff. He's got a good foundation. I predict they'll actually make a postseason tournament this year and win over 20 games. This is the year Kevin Baker takes him to some sort of a tournament, and Baker's always doing a good job there. So
I love how you always just have every basketball team at UTEP winning at minimum 20 games. You're going to win 2/3 of your games all the time.
It's always going to be a good thing. Well, look, I mean, they've won, they've gotten close to that 20-win plateau for several years. So I think this is the year they win over 20. And I mean, easier said than done without Katia Gallegos. But again, he brought in a lot of good recruits, and Krause is a great player. Avery Krause has been there for the whole time, and she's a hell of a player. So he's got a lot of good girls that also stayed too from last year. So I think he's going to have a good year.
So I wanted to ask Brandon just a couple of questions to you whenever it comes to, not just college athletics. I think we spent a lot of time on college athletics today, but we had the NFL around.
Yeah.
Right. Great game. Not really. This Thursday night, we had our first stinker on Thursday night between Cleveland and Pittsburgh. It was bound to happen, right? But the Monday night games, what we've been seeing so far here early on in the season, week 3 is about to be upon us. The Dallas Cowboys either A, disappoint us really badly, or B, surprise the hell out of us all the time. What's been like the one team that you're looking at right now? You're saying that is a very overwhelming team.
Well, I mean, I feel that personally, I'm to me, what Cincinnati has done or lack of done. I mean, I really expected a lot. I had high expectations for the Bengals, and I mean, they lost at Dallas last week. It was a close game, but I mean, I don't think Burrow's playing great so far. Not the guy that took them to the Super Bowl last year.
Their biggest issue is their offensive line.
That's what I was going to say. Their offensive line stinks.
They addressed it.
Yeah.
Whenever they got La'el Collins from the Dallas Cowboys, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to have your back."
Yeah.
I had to think to myself, who gave this guy that kind of confidence?
Yeah.
Because he was a turnstile on the Dallas Cowboys offensive line.
Right. Absolutely. He was. And I mean, again, they have a good ground game with Mixon. You only have one of the top receivers in the NFL, but it's like very disappointing. I mean, I didn't expect them to be 0-2. I don't think, obviously, they didn't expect to be 0-2, but again, it's still early. I was just like, what the hell? I mean, also, look, Green Bay, to me, they got the win against the Bears, but they always beat the Bears. They're going to struggle. I mean, Aaron Jones is amazing. He had a great game against the Bears, and they have a great running game. But to me, Rodgers isn't looking as sharp, and obviously you miss Adams a lot. Defensively, they haven't been as good. So I feel that Green Bay has been a little underwhelming. But then again, what do you expect after losing, your top dog? You can't expect to, gain momentum after losing a guy like Devontae Adams.
But this is the thing that, I'm not like a big Aaron Rodgers guy. I think he's highly overrated. Like, yes, he's super talented. Yes, he's won a Super Bowl, blah, 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 right? My whole issue with that is he's not the Peyton Manning or Tom Brady type of quarterback where he makes his receivers better. Tom Brady now, especially, like, yes, he's got a ton of weapons.
Yeah.
But look at who he was throwing to this past Sunday. After Mike Evans gets ejected, after Mike Evans is suspended and all that, he's throwing to guys like Scotty Miller.
Yeah, and he still wins.
And that's what I was going to say. So Peyton
important.
Manning was doing the same thing, right? Like he made, I guess maybe not made, but like he, enhanced Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne and these players.
Sure.
He made them look so much better than what they would have been without him. Yes, Aaron Rodgers does that to an extent, but I would have never thought, and I guess maybe Tom Brady spoiled us to like how a quarterback ages. But I would have never thought that Aaron Rodgers would be a guy that has to be in an offense that's a run-first offense.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that of him, definitely. That's something that, you would always look at him airing it out, and he still does a pretty good job at that. But again, they just, to me, haven't been overly sharp the first couple of weeks. And they're usually, after the first game, they start get going. But, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's still a young season to be determined. And to me, another disappointment are the Colts so far. I mean, you bring in Matt Ryan, you have a great running back there and Taylor, and a strong defense. And I love their head coach. And I thought they were going to be one of the up-and-coming teams, but they've been extremely disappointing thus far. And they played like crap last week. And Jacksonville, they're defensively looking good. James Robinson is back. Watch out for them with Trevor Lawrence. They could be a surprise this year, the Jaguars.
And that's the thing, right? Like the AFC South is just up for grabs.
It really is.
Tennessee's
Henry, who knows how he's going to be? I mean, you don't think about what kind of an injury or how that's going to affect him as a running back, but and you don't let it go of A.J. Brown. That was their deep threat. Their deep threat is gone now, and that's going to take its toll on them offensively. It has already.
Okay, so we've talked about some of the disappointments. I want to talk about a team that I've been impressed with, and no, it's not the Miami Dolphins. It's the Buffalo Bills. They're going out, and I know there's expectations, right? So it's hard. Like, how can you have be impressed by a team that there's these expectations with? I'm impressed with the fact that they are just absolutely overwhelming right now. They are blowing teams out. Well, what is it? 70 points that they scored, and they've given up 20.
Yeah. Their defense is tremendous. The
addition of Von Miller.
Von Miller, man, that was big. That's what Super Bowl teams do in the offseason. They get better, and they were already great last year. And remember, this is a team that if they beat KC, to me, they go on and win the Super Bowl. I really do think that's without Von Miller. But there's no doubt. I mean, to me, some people say, Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. I don't know. I think that Allen is the best quarterback in the NFL because of his versatility, his size, his ability to be a running back and a linebacker as well. And the Josh Allen to Stephon Diggs is the number one QB wide receiver tandem in the NFL. And when it's all said and done, it could be one of the greatest ones we've ever seen. I mean, those guys are on another level right now. If you have either one of those guys on your fantasy team, you're like, yay. I did all right, but damn, man, they look good on all cylinders.
I remember whenever Diggs wanted out of Minnesota, they traded into Buffalo. I said that right there is the perfect weapon for Josh Allen.
Sure, that's what they needed. Just
run right down the field, and Josh Allen will overthrow anybody. Right? Like he's
not
got
Diggs.
An absolute
not Diggs.
rocket.
So yeah, exactly.
But Diggs is there every single time. Gabe Davis is there all the time. This is just a solid all-around team. I'm looking at Kansas City. I'm still impressed by Kansas City. The fact that they're able to do what they did without Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
We overstated his value, and then he kind of, this past Sunday. How crazy was Sunday?
Waddle and then Hill and my God and Tua and I'll tell you what, that was a great game.
Are you finally going to kind of come over to my side where I said Miami is going to be a threat this year?
No, I agree. I mean, I still don't know about their the tight end kid over there. I mean, he's been okay.
You got a tutty last week.
Yeah, okay, I get your titty, tutty. But tutty. Is that what you said? Anyways, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I feel that
you just said I got your titty.
it was a Freudian. It was a slip. It was an accent. I thought you said
and
tutty.
And you do.
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Do.
But anyways, you know what?
Ample.
If he can keep that up, I mean, it's one game, and let's see how they do against Buffalo this week. if he could keep that up, man. I mean, people are saying he underthrows the ball and but Tua could become a good quarterback, especially with all the weapons he has.
This is the thing with me is like I feel like anybody can underthrow the ball to those guys. He still has a beautiful deep ball.
He does.
And yes, like maybe they do have to slow down. Tyreek Hill is not nicknamed the Cheetah for no reason whatsoever.
He's amazing.
Right? And it just seems like this team finally has some weapons. They've got an upgrade on the offensive line. They had the worst offensive line in the history of offensive line metrics going back to the 70s. Think about that. That was what they had last year. So anything was an improvement, right?
Of course.
And they're actually blocking for him. They have to respect the fact that you do have, that security blanket in Jereica, who I still love, caught a tutty last week.
Tutty.
And then you look at the explosive weapons that they have with Jalen Waddle. You cannot double team anybody now.
No, it's amazing. It's amazing what they've put together. And, that's the type of team that'll be scary good. Everyone talks about Buffalo, KC, Baltimore, whatever. That's the type of team that to me is going to be scary good if they can stay healthy. And if Tua can really start doing things like that, then watch out AFC and watch out NFL.
Yesterday, Albert Pujols knocked home run 699 and then home run 700 out of the park. Brandon, I've been seeing everybody say we'll never see 700 again. It kind of feels that way. I don't think Major League careers last that long. And then with the way it is now, feast and famine, it's one of those rare things. Then you look at a guy right now, Aaron Judge, the month that he had, where he is now almost all but guaranteed to win the Triple Crown.
Sure.
At a 316 batting average, which back whenever we were wee young lads, 316 wouldn't have sniffed a batting title.
No, it wouldn't have.
But you've got Aaron Judge now. I mean, you just see it with, on the ESPN scroller. They're going to be dipping into every single game that he's doing now, trying to get that 61st home run, the American League record. I feel like I'm biased on this because I am a Yankees fan. I've never hidden that, right? But I love seeing what Aaron Judge is doing right now. I've been surprised that it hasn't gotten as much publicity through baseball because it's Aaron Judge. He's a good-looking dude. He's a giant of a man playing for the New York damn Yankees. And yet it still seems like it takes a back seat to Edwin Diaz's, intro music and Albert Pujols. And maybe Pujols is well-earned getting 700. But I'm looking at this like, why are we not paying more attention to what Judge is doing?
Well, I mean, more often than not, the games will be nationally televised going forward. I mean, obviously, and I know yesterday's game was on Apple TV, so a lot of people didn't see it, and that's just the big contract they had to get those games on a certain day and whatnot. So, but fortunately, he didn't hit it yesterday.
If he had hit 61 yesterday on Apple TV,
and 5 people see it. I mean, no, there's a lot of people that have a subscription to Apple
I love
TV.
watching Apple TV.
I don't.
So I do. The one thing that I love about it is it feels like to me their games are a lot more clear. Yeah. Whenever you see the ball get released out of the pitcher's hand, you can actually see the seams as they're moving without the slowdown, without any of that. Like you see it and you see the cuts a little more. So I like the product on Apple TV, but you think about this. If they had 61 hit yesterday for Apple TV, they've made their investment.
Yeah, this is phenomenal. But I mean, I know he hasn't done it today. He's chasing 61. I know he's coming up, and I know the game's on right now. They're playing the Red Sox still, but
how perfect would that be? Hit 61 against the Red Sox,
against the Bo Sox. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, look, like I said, what a year for the ages. And I'm happy to announce that I'll be in Dallas for the speech convention the first week of October. And luckily we're getting there the last day of the season, and the Yankees are at the Rangers, and I am going to that game. So I'm hoping I'm sure he's going to be playing,
I might see you in Dallas.
Really?
Yeah. So I think I told you like we weren't able to get the trip to London.
Yes.
I decided that I'm going to take a trip to Dallas, go to the State Fair, go check out all that stuff, maybe get a Cowboys game, and of course try to get myself a Yankees game.
Well, I mean, I think we should go.
Let's do it.
Should we get a grease?
Of course we're going to get
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Have we gotten anywhere and not gotten a grease?
Well, you and I, we're about our greases, right?
So before we leave, I just want to check in on this at bat, all right? I'm not going to do play-by-play because, unfortunately, we can get sued for that stuff.
Yes, we
found that out the hard way whenever I was working at a major network. But the Yankees currently lead right now 4-3 in New York. First pitch was down, so that was a ball.
Aaron Judge, they're going to walk him again?
Aaron Judge is – I mean, I don't think you walk him if you have, someone on first right now, which is what they've got. But, I just love seeing – and you see him standing in the batter's box. The pitcher is on a mound that's 10 inches tall and still looks dwarfed by this man.
Mm-hmm. He's a big boy.
I just
He
love
is a
that batting
big
stance and
boy.
everything.
Yeah. This is history in the making, folks.
I need to see this home run.
So do I. On Fire and Ice live. How cool would that be? Oh man, that was
That
there.
was it.
That was he just like gave him he's like, here you go, hit this for 61.
Well,
He just took
umpire
it.
called that outside.
Yeah, that was not
So maybe
outside.
that was a good
right
look.
in the strike
Hey, he
zone.
leads the American League in
Right.
walks for a reason.
Yes, he does that. He was
Which
very disciplined there.
I
right?
thought would never happen. I don't know
Yeah,
if you remember his first 3 years. He was striking out like 140 times a season.
Yeah, he was.
It was a strikeout
That's what
machine.
all these hitters do.
The
though.
third pitch.
Oh,
that was in, but that was hittable.
It was a little inside, but he's the last two pitches he could have taken. He decided not to.
But I
He's
like
being very
seeing it. You got the
conservative.
patience.
He's being conservative on this bat. At bat.
I remember, looking at the history books and all that, whenever they spoke about Roger Maris breaking Babe Ruth's record, right? His hair was falling out, the stress, he couldn't go to sleep. There's just all that stuff. And I wonder if that same pressure is there, because if you look at the top 3 American League records for home runs, it's all New York Yankees. And the history on that team.
Oh,
Just a little late
That's a
on
foul.
that one.
Yeah, he got
That
a
was
little
the
piece
pitch.
of that. A little piece of that to the looked like right field. It went off to. Nice souvenir for somebody. We're both so excited.
I was going to say, and you're not even a Yankees fan.
I'm not. I'm anything but a Yankees fan. Can't
Wow.
stand the Yankees,
Wow,
but
that
I
hurts.
love Aaron Judge, though. I really do. I
I
respect
think I'm going to buy
Aaron
you a Judge jersey.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you can
Thank you.
wear
It's
it
very nice. of
every
you.
now and again.
Yeah, once in a
Rocking
blue
the
moon.
Yankees gear. I'm with it, man. We'll get you a hat.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's phenomenal.
Here comes the 5th pitch of the at bat. That
It's
is
in the
low.
dirt. That's almost in the dirt.
So-
full count.
Yep. So
Okay.
whenever Jeter hit his 3,000th hit, I had gone to a movie theater. I was living in North Carolina. I had went to Lids because they had that special hat, like with the little thing, I love my hats. And it had 3,000 hit club. And I told the guy working at the Lids, because I bought so many hats there, as we wait for this next pitch to come in. Oh,
He just got a
that
little
was
piece of
high.
it.
He was just a
high.
little
He
under
swung
that
it.
one.
He swung at ball 4, definitely. It was high. That's totally a ball.
I mean, maybe, but look at how tall he is. That's a weird strike zone.
Yeah, but it is. But
Oh, that
you
was
could
high.
just tell that was
That was almost
really
at his
high.
shoulders.
That was really high.
But Derek Jeter gets his 3,000th hit. I leave the movie that I'm watching, run over to the Liz. The guy has the hat for me. I'm the first person in North Carolina
Nice.
to have that
Nice.
3,000th hit hat.
I love it.
I can't believe I watched the
I
movie
think he's
instead
going
of
to walk
watching
him.
the
I think
game.
he's going to walk him. I just have a feeling. I don't know.
I think it's going to be a bomb.
Hope I'm wrong.
Huge bomb.
Yep,
and he
walked
walked
him
him,
ball
of
4.
course.
Should have been a walk a long time ago, though. Anyway.
Yeah, Red Sox are terrible. Entire franchise is garbage. Entire fan base is even worse. I hate them so damn much.
Sorry about that.
Robbing me of this moment on Fire and Ice. But you know what, Brandon? I want to say how great it is to be out here at Undisputed Craft House, 1881 Saul Kleinfeld. We're going to get our thick boy pies. You got the thick boy pies, $15 today. It's the way to do it. And they always got the largest selection of craft beer here in El Paso. A little brewski and a little pizza pie. We got our guy Henry hanging out with us as well.
Henry, our buddy's here, our biggest fan. We love you, Henry.
So we're going to go ahead in the show right now. Brandon, I just got to get one pick. Who's winning on Monday night? The Dallas Cowboys or the Giants?
Cowboys with that defense.
I'm about
That
to say the
defense is
defense
going to
has
win
been
them a lot
saving
of
them.
games. this
Yes,
year.
thank
They're
goodness.
very and last second here when I had yesterday on the show. It was a great interview at halftime. Okay, and you saw that. You were there. Okay.
Yep.
So here I am. And all of a sudden it's like it's the interview. It's at halftime, and it's funny because I'm sitting there, and I'm sitting there, and Laufenberg, and he tells me, oh, I got a text message from Keenan Allen. He said, you know who that is? I'm like, do I know who? Or Kellen Moore. What the hell am I talking about? Kellen Moore. I was like, wow. He said, hey, I just got a text message from Kellen Moore about the game. You know who that is? And I'm like, do I? It's really, the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys. He's like, look, and he shows it to me. It was pretty funny.
I'm surprised you didn't say, hey, let's get him on the show.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about it. Trust me, I've been thinking about it. But Kellen Moore texting him during the game, that was cool.
I love your mindset. I absolutely love your mindset. Like, I will ask because the least they can say is no. Right? That's the worst they can say is
I'm
no.
like, come on, fire. Let's do on Just the Tip Network. Let's do our thing, man.
Oh, I absolutely love it. I also feel like sometimes I need to change the name because whenever you said Just the Tip Network, he kind of looked like he was taking a bat for a second.
Everybody looks to me like I know. I'm talking to Dr. Heather Wilson after the game. Dr. Wilson, Brandon Cohn. I'm from the Tip Network.
Just
Which
call it the JTT Network.
dude, let's do something, okay? Because I tell them I'm from Just a Tip, and they're like, what? And I'm like, anyways, let's come on the show. She said she would come on the show too. But I always tell them I'm from the Tip Network.
Hey, there you go. Hey, I'm good with that.
Leave the Just out there, and
Hey,
they just
I'm
don't
good
look
with
at
that,
me.
Just a Tip
Anyways, I'm networking for us. I got us a lot of guests coming up on Fire and Ice.
And that's the way that we should do it. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning into today's show. Remember, come on out here, Undisputed Craft House, 1881 Salt Kleinfeld. They'll have the punk rock flea market out here today, starting at 5 o'clock, which is always a fun time to come on out here. It's called Another effing Farmers Market and Art Gallery will be out here as well. So check them out. 1881 Salt Kleinfeld. Thank you so much for your hospitality. Also want to give a shout out to our friends over at 3 Missions Brewery, 10179 Socorro Road. Today from 5 to 11, they have the Heritage Festival beer that they're going to have. And next Saturday, Oktoberfest. Brandon, I was one of the first people to try the new Oktoberfest beer that they had out there while we went out and celebrated Socorro High School's 20th high school reunion. My God, I'm old. I am ancient.
Not as old as me.
And that Oktoberfest beer is absolutely phenomenal. Half price growler fills on Tuesday, $2 off the flights on Thursdays, and always check them out on social media at 3 Missions Brewery for all of the specials that they've got as well. Once again, everyone, thank you so much for tuning into today's show, and we will see you all next week. Keep it sexy, Brandon.
I always try.